Hey guys, we are back. We are now in our 5th week of virtual learning. So I'm just going to go over again the brief run through of what's going on this week. So today we have your lesson video. We're going to be going over 5.1 to 5.4. So that's all of the different ways that we can solve systems of equations. Your assignment for this week is your MyHRW lesson 5.2. It should already be up on your dashboard on MyHRW. On Monday, I'm going to be posting a YouTube video, not of me, but of a different teacher, kind of going over your graphing and solving linear inequalities. Tuesday, you're going to keep reviewing over your systems and how we solve them. Wednesday is going to be your test on linear functions. Now, this is going to be on USA Test Prep, and it's going to be the same way that we did the quiz, where I'm going to have you take the quiz during that entire day. So this is where you have a time span to take that test, okay? So again, this will probably be the only time that you ever get an unlimited time frame for a test, okay? But take your time on that. Make sure that you are really reading the questions correctly and don't rush. And then on Thursday is going to be your discussion number 3 on solving systems, okay? So we are going to go ahead and get started on your lesson for today. All right, let me zoom out. Perfect. Okay, so the first part that we're going to start off with is solving systems by graphing. So this is probably the one that you guys use the least because you have to be very exact when you're solving systems by graphing. Okay, so the first part was making sure that we could tell if a solution was, or if an ordered pair was a solution of a system, okay? So let's say that I gave you this coordinate point, so -2, 1. And I wanted to know if it fell, or if it was the solution point, the point at which the two lines cross, of this system. It's y equals -2x minus 3, and y equals x plus 3. So again, what does it mean if a coordinate point is the solution of the system? That means that if I plug this x and y value into these two equations, both of them are going to come out true. So let's go ahead and test that theory. So I have 1 equals -2x, nope, not 2x, -2 times -2 minus 3. -2 times -2 is going to give me 4. 4 minus 3 is going to give me 1. So it works out for the first one, so I'm going to put a check mark here. So now I'm going to try it for the second one. So I have 1 equals -2 plus 3. -2 plus 3 is 1. So it works out for the second one. So that means that this coordinate point here is the solution of this system. That means that that's the point at which these two lines intersect and cross each other, okay? So that's all it was when it was asking you to see if something was a solution of that system, okay? So now we're gonna go ahead and graph a solution out, okay? So I'm gonna write pretty small up here what the systems are. So I have y equals x plus 5, and then I have y equals 1/2 x plus 4. So I'm going to graph both of these, and I'm going to see pretty much where they cross at. So when you're graphing these lines, remember that you always start with your y-intercept and then you do your slope from there. So something, if you guys remember me telling you, is that when you're trying to find a solution point by graphing, to continue with your slope. So don't do the 2 points that you need, do a little bit more. It gives you a clearer line, and 9 times out of 10, one of those dots that you do for your slope is going to actually be the solution point of your 2 lines, okay? So I'm going to graph the first one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1. So for here, that's a +1, right? So that's 1 over 1. Now I can also do the other side of that where it's a negative over a negative. So I can go down 1 to the left one, down 1 to the left one, okay? So it gives me a clearer line. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of run a line right through there. Now I'm gonna graph my other one. So that's 4, and then it's up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, and now I'm going to do the other way. So down 1 over 2. And what do you know? this point right here is their solution. So that is -2, 3. So that means that the solution of the system would be -2, 3. Okay? So again, that's all we need to do when we are solving systems by graphing. So let me tell you that thank goodness we have already gone through these lessons, so you should vaguely remember what we're going through, and just be lucky if this isn't a brand new lesson for you. All right, so the next way that we solve systems is by substitution. So that means that I'm going to take one of my systems and I'm going to substitute that value into the other. So if you remember correctly, the first step we had to do was solve one of our equations for a variable. Luckily, we already have one solved for a variable. So that means that this tells me that y is equal to -x plus 5. So that means that I can take wherever I see y in my second line, I can replace it with -x plus 5. So that means it would look just like this. All I did was take out that y and replace it with what y equaled in my first line. So now I'm going to go ahead and distribute. So I get a positive 3x minus 15. And then I'm going to combine my like terms. And then I'm going to add the 15 to both sides. So I get 5x equals 9. Love when these don't work out properly. Divide by 5, divide by 5, and I get x is equal to 9 over 5. I'm just going to double check to make sure that that was done correctly. So we get positive 3x. It's a negative 15. These two together is 5x. All right, so we get a 9 over 5. Now I'm going to plug that in to my other equation. So I'm going to actually plug it into this one because it's going to be a lot simpler to do that. So y is equal to -9 over 5 plus 5. Now remember, I put negative here because in my original equation, the x, whatever number it is a negative, okay? So when I add these two together, so I'm going to put this as a 25 over 5. Because it's the same thing as 5, right? It's 25 divided by 5 is 5. Just makes it easier for me to add these together. So then 25 plus a -9 is going to give me a 16 over 5, which if I wanted to put that as a mixed number would be 3 1/5. Yeah, okay. All right, so that is what you have to do when you're solving, okay? Now, that is just by solving by substitution, okay? So remember, that's putting a value in, solving for one variable, plugging it in, solving for the other, and bing, bing, boom, you have your solution point, okay? Now, the next one was elimination. So remember I told you guys that there was elimination by addition, subtraction, and then multiplication first, okay? So we're gonna do 2 of them. So I'll do an addition one and then a multiplying one. So I have x plus 3y equals 15, 2x minus 3y equals -6. So the way that you knew if you needed to add or subtract, okay? So you see how these are the exact same number, but one's positive, one's negative? That means that if I add them together, they're going to be gone. I won't have a y value. And that's the whole point. You need to eliminate a variable to solve for one so that you can plug that one in to solve for the other, okay? So when I add these down, I get 3x equals 9. Divide both sides by 3 and I get x equals 3. If I plug that back in, I'm going to take the first one. So 3 plus 3y equals 15, subtract the 3, subtract the 3, 3y equals 12. So then y would equal 4. So that tells me that my solution for this system is 3, 4. Okay? So again, it's pretty easy if you remember the steps that we needed to take. Okay, so now we're going to do one that deals with multiplication. So I'm going to need to multiply first before I can eliminate a variable. So I have negative 2x plus 5y equals negative 1. Then I have 3x plus 2y equals 11. So none of these are the same. So that means that I need to multiply one or both of these equations by a number to be able to eliminate them. So what I like to do is I like to find the ones that are already opposites. So that means that one's a negative, one's a positive, vice versa. So that's my x values here. Next, I have to see, okay, what do they have in common? What's their least common multiple, okay? Between the two of them, it's 6, right? So that means that I need to multiply the top one by 3 and the bottom one by 2 to be able to eliminate that variable. So that would give me a negative 6x. So remember that you're multiplying every single term in both of the equations by whatever number it is that you've chosen, okay? It's gonna be 6x plus 4y equals 22. Now, I have the exact same number, one's positive, one's negative. I can go ahead and add and eliminate them. So those will be gone. 15 plus 4 is gonna give me 19. And negative 3 plus 22 is gonna give me 19. That means that y is equal to 1. Easy. Now I'm going to take that y, and I'm going to go ahead and plug it into one of my original equations. Not the ones that I've multiplied, the original ones. So I'm going to take the first one. So I have a negative 2x plus 5 times 1 equals a negative 1. Okay? I multiply those, and it gives me 5. Subtract 5, and a negative 2x equals negative 6. And x equals 3, because the negative divided by a negative is going to give me a positive. So that means that my solution is 3, 1. Okay? So remember, guys, if you have any questions regarding these systems, just bring an example already prepared to the office hours. That way I can work one out with you of one that you want worked out. Okay? Now, the other thing that we had to remember is when we were solving our special systems. So that meant that there would be absolutely no solution point, or there would be infinitely many. So when there's no solution point, that means that both of these lines have the same slope, but a different y-intercept. Those are called parallel lines, okay? So if you see two lines, okay, so one is y equals negative 2x minus 6. The other is y equals negative 2x plus 5. Don't even bother going into that. You already can see that they have the same slope, but a different y-intercept. They're never going to cross. So that means that they would have no solution. Now, on the other hand, let's say that you start off with two equations that are not the same, looking right off, like starting off with it, right? So this is what it looks like. So let's say that I wanted to do, let's go with substitution, because this is already solved for a variable, right? So that means wherever I see y, I'm going to plug this in. So I have 2x minus 2x plus 4 equals 4. What happens to these two variables? They cancel out. I get 4 equals 4. Is that a true statement? You bet. These two lines are actually the exact same line. Because watch what would happen if you moved this 2x to the other side. It'd become a negative, right? So that means that that system would have an infinite amount of solutions, okay? Because since the two lines are the exact same line, every single point that falls on one line is going to fall on the other because they're the same line, okay? So again, just keep that in mind. Make sure that if you are having any questions or having any difficulties with any of these problems, please either join the office hours, ask me those questions, or send me an email. You guys know that I am replying back to the emails. It takes me a little longer when it's through Google Classroom, because if I don't find the original part of it, I have no idea where you honestly put that comment. Okay, so again, just have a good week. Remember, you have the one assignment due. Okay, just remember, guys, that anything that's optional or your Khan Academy assignments, those are all additional practice for you, though they don't have any grades in PowerSchool. Okay, I let you know what your graded assignment is for the week in this video, in your Friday videos. Okay, usually it's going to be one assignment. It may be one assignment in the test like it is now. That means that probably next week I won't have an assignment due for you guys because I took the 2 grades this week. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Again, if you have any concerns, if you're not sure if something's optional or if you need to do it, just ask me. I'll answer those questions there for you. Okay, so yeah, I guess I will talk to you guys in the next video or in the office hours. Bye.